We'll convene the April Board of Architecture review. The first item on the agenda is also a planning board agenda item, so we'll roll that over. 200 Main Street, which is going to be the planning board. Number 2 on the agenda is 202 North Island Avenue. The applicant is requesting construction of a non-habitable screened-in porch.
Good evening.
Hi.
There was additional information requested, which I have here at town, that was provided via email. It should be, there's one here via email.
Thank you. This is the complicated area. I think it was outside and around to get to. Yeah. It's not that's not we're only focused on the fish.
Okay. So basically what we had existing pergola with a cover on it, which was reconstructed to a screen-in porch, has screens, framing. It's non-habitable. It's not going to have a heating and cooling. They're using it only for evening, the summer evening dinner, lunches.
And there's no direct walking connection between this porch and the house itself.
No.
You have to go outside to get to the porch.
Yeah, correct. The entrance is here, and there's another door here. So basically, you got to go outside the house to get inside.
Okay.
So there is a door into that area, but it's from in this photograph,
If there's a door here that you come out,
right?
the patio, and there's a door inside, and there's another door here.
And
There's just no door between the house and the porch.
So you go out to come in.
Correct.
Okay.
Basically, in terms of materials, we are matching what's on existing building. It would be a vinyl siding of this color, and the roof is dark.
So David will translate this color into some actual model number. Is it on the print?
Yeah, it is.
Is it on the print you supplied?
It's a linen.
oh, is it on the plan? The site plan?
So on the site.
No,
Okay, so put it on the site.
the color is linen, and the roof color is fabric. So basically, matches what's in
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? If no questions presented, your motion to approve the plan as submitted. Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Carried. Thank you. Okay, so first that bill is also a planning board application, so we will adjourn that and get to the planning board. So as we convene at the planning board, the first application tonight is 200 Main Street. The application is adjourned. super. Now, so we'll adjourn that. Number 2, applicant just walked out of the room.
Because they only want to look people for the BAI, they want to wait, they just get the people from the
Oh,
ZBA.
so we're waiting as zoning board, board of zoning appeals for so we'll put that on that till next month. Croton Avenue, are you in favor? JB, are you?
Motion for the next few ones.
Oh, you're all in.
Maybe it's a ceremonial walk.
Be careful, because we can hold you in there.
I noticed that.
So can we at some point get a street ad number for this place?
I don't think there is one.
Well, there's gonna have to be one. I don't know, something.
Well, okay. I will take that now. We received today comments from current sessions, and just to be sure, we have done some soil testing, so we're going to have to resubmit. We're going to address the questions we received today from.
Okay. Good. Take it away. You want to
No.
ask the question?
No, we should receive them today. There's some of the.
Just received it.
Yeah, so we'll address them for the next.
So what would you like us to do, adjourn this here?
Yes.
Okay, motion to adjourn? Okay, moving along to 6400 Street.
Same, I should receive the comments today. We can adjourn it to next
Want to
one.
adjourn that one? Okay. So we'll adjourn that one. Do we have any action on 7W tonight?
Yes.
All right.
You don't want
These
to
people
adjourn.
came to hear something, not just to talk.
Well, we received a memo on March 27th, talking about some of the work being proposed on the right of way. We have, Mr. Vicenzo has contacted the county, we have been involved in creating a licensing agreement. Now, part of the discussion that we had, the email that hopefully it was going around today, that item number 9 of the comments from the session is that the entirety of the parking space needs to be within the property. It cannot encroach into the right of way.
So let's understand that. So we're clear
Yeah.
that
There is a licensing
even though the
agreement.
license agreement,
The comment I had,
is it a question, Joe, or is it
no,
a statement of fact?
there was a comment from us, there's two things going on. There's physical improvements to the village right of way. The wall, the stairs, rails, and then there's also the actual physical parking stall. Off-street parking was required to be off-street, and that street includes the limits of the right of way. So the 9 by 18-foot stall is shown extending into the right of way.
So, okay, I get that.
Our comment originally was, you need to push the wall back to get the space completely on your property.
And
So-
that's not true anymore.
I don't know, that's not true, I think there's two,
There will be a
and Mark, correct me if
license.
I'm wrong, I think there's two
So
There's two things going on here. There's a license agreement for the physical improvements in the right of way, and then potentially a variance for the parking stall.
So here's where I get off the rail. I get the license agreement. Makes perfect sense to me. Whereby someone will construct a permanent wall, immovable, without a lot of trees, in that right of way. And we will stipulate, as the village, that they can't park the car in the same right of way? Really?
instead of.
The license agreement provides to maintain constructive use. So, and we discussed with the Board of Trustees last week. So effectively, Mr. DeCenzo wants to construct the driveway, wants to construct his retaining walls, which would go approximately 5.5 feet onto the village's right-of-way. The Board of Trustees is fine with that. They passed a resolution to that effect last week, authorizing the village manager to sign the license agreement, which has been exchanged already with Mr. DeCenzo. So to the extent that he would be parking there or using it, that Board of Trustees is okay with.
Got it. That's right. Thanks for clarifying. Okay,
So now,
so now you don't need, so now you can park the car. But you still need a variance because you're going to park in the front yard.
we obtain a variance to park in the front.
You did?
Yes. Yes, park in the sun. Oh,
You went to the zoning board,
To park in
voted
the
on it in
front.
February, but they haven't voted on the resolution.
So pending our deliberations and pending the license agreement, the Board of Zoning Appeals will formally review the request to park in the front yard. I got it. Okay. That's it. All right. Any other things?
No, sorry. How, so now we have to go back to the zoning board?
Well, I think the zoning board heard the case, but didn't take a vote. They need to take a vote.
Right, but we're still in order for us to finish the comments that, from Keller's session, we still have to deal with item number 9. Which is that the entire of the 18 feet had to be at his property.
No, that was just clear.
So that's
The
the
license, I'm already surrounded by lawyers. So I'm going to be really careful about this, but it seems to me that a license agreement in this case works a lot like an easement to use something. And that means it's, for all intents and purposes, it becomes part of your parcel. You don't own it, you have a license to use it.
Let me just-
In the description that.
I could just clarify that a little bit.
Okay.
An easement has greater rights than a license, which is what the village is given. The license is something lesser in terms of the real property interest in the property. It allows him to do certain things on it as prescribed in the agreement that's made.
What is it, cancel?
I don't know.
It does.
There are certain provisions, the village also has the right to go on there. The village has to take down the wall for purposes of doing maintenance. They would take it down, and Mr. DeCenzo would be the one to put it back up. Mr. DeCenzo is indemnifying the village in the event that there is any injury or accident within the village's right of way. So, and it will run with the land, so it will be a recorded document that will be filed with the Westchester County Clerk, so that Mr. DeCenzo should transfer the property, that will go with the property as well. So,
Is there anything that cannot be used in that space? You mentioned that there is some things that will be allowable, but is there anything stipulated that X, Y, or Z cannot?
Start would probably answer that. I haven't read the agreement.
what it says, Mr. Bush, is that basically it's for the purpose of use, construction, and the construction is limited to what he had on his plans. The driveway, retaining walls, plantings, fixing the steps, and putting up the railing. So that's the work that he's limited. If he were to start doing additional work within that area, he would have to come back.
I think this is.
So the first 5 of the 18 feet that I need to provide for the length of a car, the first 5 and 5.2, 5.6 feet of those 18 will be in the right of way, and that's okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So the only thing that I would add to this very complicated process is that it's for the exclusive use of this property. So nobody can in the future sub-license any part. But somebody might rent out the rock. Nobody gets anything.
Okay.
That's the
I
only.
have one more question. Zoning board, the zoning board, we were there, as we know.
January, February.
Yeah, there was no nothing said that evening about coming back or voting on it. No, you just said you had yourself a parking spot. You know, it was, but coming back,
Well, we have to get the approval of,
Yeah.
first of all, the planning board
Right.
for environmental, whatever environmental review is done. And also to determine whether the things that you were doing, and to get your license, quite honestly, the ZBA can't, just like this board, can't give you jurisdiction over village property.
right,
So now that the license is in place, now I think the zoning board can take a vote.
okay.
And that issue is you're parking in your front yard directly in front of your house.
Right.
Generally, that's not allowed. So you would need a variance from that provision of the zoning code in order to be allowed to do that.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so I think we are, we can vote on this. Now, the ZBA is, are we doing
Well, there
a
are,
short form environmental?
so now we will submit the drawing reflecting those changes. Okay, I
There's still
mean, you
other
already,
issues, there's still items that we need to address
Okay.
on the plan.
if we address
This is a
those,
big part of it.
yeah, if we address those items, can that be pending? I mean, we already voted on that, but I guess we can vote on it again.
We didn't vote at all yet.
You approved this in February. No, you were here.
We couldn't approve it
Yes.
because you had no license agreement.
It was approved.
We have site plan that is deficient,
Go to the minutes?
right?
It was approved.
Okay.
It was, that's
So,
what, if we,
so, well, let's, I'm sort of trying, I'd like to move this off our agenda if we can. And you can work out administratively with staff. But that's all, right? So Joe, are we, what do we need to put in our resolution tonight?
We can condition it on the satisfaction of our
Okay,
remaining comments.
okay. Now, we have to do anything about,
You could probably put a condition on it saying that the approval is conditioned upon the ZBA granting the variance. I don't think the ZBA had a
And
problem.
complying with
What are the conditions that we would like to see those?
It's an excavation and fill permit, so there are 14 comments, and they're basically relative to the disturbance of the land, how much, quantify the size of the disturbance, the lot area, the dimensions, to produce a topographic survey that's prepared by a licensed surveyor, retain all calculations that are prepared by a professional engineer that demonstrate adequate resistance, additional grading to demonstrate how the proposed driveway is going to transition into the sloping street, top and bottom wall elevations. Number 9 is the license agreement, the stormwater collection system has to be designed in a way that mitigates net increase in runoff. They have to show the existing trees that are proposed to be removed. They have to prepare a landscaping plan that is approved by the planning board. They need to show how they're going to do their erosion control, install silt fences and hay bale protection that'll be downgraded all the disturbed areas, and then to locate any rounds or fences on the plan.
So everything can be done by the village engineer except for the planting.
Right, I was gonna say, we should probably decide and discuss that tonight, and give you some direction on, what the applicant's direction on what we want to see.
you want to say?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make one point with regard to the license agreement, and just so Mr. DeCenzo understands, and I'll put it into the agreement specifically. While the village is giving the license to use the parking of the vehicle, you can't park on the sidewalk. So to the extent that the sidewalk is part of that right of way, you will not park on the sidewalk. I'll make it explicit in the agreement, I just want to make sure that you
Sure,
understand
no
that.
problem.
Good.
And the only other thing is we've always required a certification that the fill is
Right.
clean.
there's
no fill.
Okay. So, are there any questions from the public? There being no questions from the public. We don't know what the planting before, well, why don't we put it up? Fall, it's not. I don't know if it's tremendous,
Yeah, it wouldn't be-
We'll put it between the two walls, there's an existing tree that's gonna remain, and in between the two walls, we're putting juniper.
Creeping roof,
Yeah,
so the tree is just.
yeah.
Okay, we're good? Yes. So, is there a motion to approve the site plan with the discussion of the license agreement and the points raised by the village engineer with respect to cuts, grading, et cetera?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. 35 Snowden Avenue. Okay. So, one plaza work recreation area and a facade renovations.
Yes,
That's
we,
new, right?
we were here in February,
I remember that.
so we did our initial presentation in February, and the last couple of months, we retained civil engineer, Mazer Consultants, and they submitted civil drawings, and we actually got their review today from Kelvin Sessions with two items. I don't know, Jamie, you saw that email that they sent as a response just to the review. I asked them to send in a response to planning just to, so I don't lose anything in translation, because they're the engineer of record for that work. One item was just clerical. On one of the forms they had to submit, there was they did their information on the drawing was accurate, but the form was incorrect. We're disturbing only 0.3 acres of land in the front plaza area, so they'll submit a revised form to show that area of disturbance. And the second issue was we're proposing a sign near the street side up on Snowden Avenue. And Kelvin Sessions stated that we need to be 10 feet back from the property line, so that's not an issue for us to move that sign back 10 feet. So otherwise, the presentation, forgive me, is it possible to use
Can we turn around?
that's not us. That's not 31st Snowden. Sorry. Thank you. Just the architectural roll, the very top one. Thank you. So this is very similar to what I initially presented back in February. This is just photos of the existing building as is, just to give you an overall feel. It's set back from the main road quite a bit, so you can't actually see it until you kind of go into the entry drive. So here we did some minor modifications. Most of it's detail oriented. We still have these solar shades that we're showing on the second floor window level. The change is the stirrups needed to go up to the third floor level for structural reasons. We had them shorter before, but now they're a little bit longer, but these are just structural supports. And there were minor modifications to the column locations for the entry canopies, just to kind of work with the existing conditions a bit. So again, nothing drastically different from the initial presentation. And this is just another wall of these areas that we kind of focused in on. This is the green screen wall that we showed back in February. We're maintaining it. This is in front of the existing brick private terrace walls. So this is how it'll look in the winter when they're not filled in, and then in the summer when they're in full bloom. So this is a demolition plan. Not too much changed here from February. The majority of the work, the 0.3 acres of work, is right here, right at the main entrance. So as I was describing, this is Snowden Avenue. There's an entry drive with a turnaround, and then you go into our parking lots. The sign that was in question was right here. that we're proposing right near the front. That's Snowden. Calvin Sessions is asking for us to locate that 10 feet back in, which will be done.
So is lot 11 yours?
Lot 11, this is lot 71. This,
71, yeah.
the survey actually shows the easement. That's something I could clarify with ownership and understand better if we have the right to put the sign at that location.
Yeah, I think if you look to, there's a fair amount of controversy surrounding that whole lot, the whole area there.
Because the civil drawings show the property line better. This is the architectural, so it doesn't show the property line separating 71 from this right away.
So the extension of the actually private road?
I believe it's a right of way, so I can double check with ownership to see what access they have to putting signage in that area.
Yeah,
That's something we looked at.
I think we should understand. The other thing that just seems curious to me is after 40 years, somebody decided to do the sign.
There is one today.
No, there's nothing there. There's just a stop sign. So, yeah, there's nothing up here, there's like an existing phone. So the new owner is just interested in putting the sign up.
Is it gonna be a lighted sign?
Yes, they're proposing on doing some lighting. If it's reasonable, the owner has a sign manufacturer who just sent me over the weekend the signage drawings. So if you don't mind, I can hand it out. Is that okay? So I apologize, it's not in your package, but if you wouldn't mind taking one and passing it down, please. But this, I apologize, it's in black and white. We actually have two signs. This is the sign that we're proposing by the roadside. So what we're doing here is it will be painted metal, and the acrylic letters will have LED lighting behind it. It won't be very bright, so it'll just kind of slightly light up. The intent is to make a very bright sign, but just let people see as they're coming up Snowden Avenue that 35 Snowden Stone is Drive.
And are you changing the name? Because
From
for
Snowden
40
House.
years it's been Snowden House, so now it's going to be the Snowden Apartments.
They're looking to call it Snowden Apartments.
40+ years, and you want to make apartments now?
So you're not the owner?
No, I'm not. I'm the representative.
This is not there.
Yeah, no, I'm identified as the owner.
Doesn't make
I'm the agenda. I'm just here.
How childproof is this sign?
Childproof, like, can you climb on it?
Yeah, climb on it,
They-
it works at it, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, they could do, it's very accessible to anybody. It won't have any sharp corners or anything.
Well, what,
But-
because they can touch it,
Right.
they
But
want to destroy it.
the children everything will be accessible, obviously, but the intent for this sign is, because it's, sorry, Lynn, you could go a couple sheets, next sheet. This is, there's a large sign here, the monumental sign's back here, and it's very, very far back. It's kind of large because of the intent to make it visible from the road as you're pulling into the access drive. So this is one of those that's larger than the zoning permitted 14 square feet. We could definitely decrease the size, but we felt it was a scale issue from the sight line when you're way up on the street. If you had a 14 square foot sign, it wouldn't look that many. So we were sensitive to that. We didn't make it too big. We didn't want it to be like a billboard, but we wanted it, you know, to have some presence.
One of the photographs shows Snowden's house on the
Yeah, that's on the existing
Let's go, Shannon.
The ownership is looking to, you know, this is what they're looking at. If you would like them to retain Snowden House, I can talk to them.
Well, that's what I would say, that for 45 years out of the one, that building has been in existence, it's been the Snowden House. And now, you know, I get that it's gonna change ownership, but it's historically known as the Snowden House. So why change it?
I think the simple answer is if they're rebranding the building, that's a component to the rebranding.
That could be one possibility, but I still don't think it makes sense.
I'm not sure I pick apart this.
Well,
The house sounds a little bit, but, you know, that's your call.
Yeah, I think that's the ownership's call. I don't know.
no, I wasn't saying it wasn't, I'm just saying
I
that.
don't understand anything
I like it. I think it's an appropriate. No.
No.
So, now what happened to the basketball?
It's being refurbished. We're gonna repave it and put up another basketball hoop.
Okay.
So it will be refurbished and renovated.
Is that the only recreation you have on site?
Currently, yes.
You had originally showed us some other high-tech looking stuff. Are you still, was the discussion, the first discussion we had about this, I told you that, you know, I know people who, you know, grew up in that building and learned how to play basketball on that,
Sure.
blah, 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 blah. I won't go rehash the whole thing, but
Right.
I thought that you also said that you were potentially going to add a couple of other things other than the basketball and what's maybe on the perimeter. So I'm just throwing that out. I don't know if you guys are still thinking about doing that or not.
Right now, the owner's just interested in refurbishing the basketball court. So the fitness equipment was something that, you know, they didn't want to get into mixing and matching different recreation elements. So they decided to just keep the basketball court.
I think that's
partnership.
All right.
How many apartments are in there?
122.
Doesn't have any pool or something or any
No.
other?
There's no other recreation.
Go down the steep slope in the back.
Okay, so what else do we have? This is pretty academic.
Yeah, he's already addressed it.
Okay, cool. Any questions from the public? No questions from the public. Is there a motion to approve plans presented?
Second.
John? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so where are we on 11 Hudson? Oh, Dan is here.
Oh, boy, timing is impeccable. Just sit, don't sit down, just come. You're up there, up front.
You're up. Yeah.
How about that?
Good evening, everybody on camera.
So we went to the zoning board, and I guess I'm just here to kind of, make sure I'm pleased with what happened here. Come back and move forward, and tell everything you need from me. They basically said, that there needs to be determination on the environmental before they can make a ruling. So they kind of sent it back to the lead agency.
You notice, you guys submitted a CDD,
Right.
and we received, the back and forth with, Mr. Egan's architect, and, this month we received the DAF, we sent out a notice of CDD, so the 30 days hasn't expired for that, so it's going to be set. And the 30 days will expire for the end of the month.
Okay. Okay, can I reiterate just a couple of points in that regard? Thank you. I just wanted to remind that in terms of storm water runoff, there's none to the neighboring properties, we're retaining everything.
That's in the form, right?
Yes. Yeah. There's a small portion of the property that's in the floodplain, which is much lower than us, we're elevated from. So we don't impact that at all. Steep slopes also we're avoiding that. And then on the views, there was some discussion about view impact, and I probably just quickly go over that. You can orient yourself. These are the tracks. This is the existing house. This is the proposed. This is Sparta Park. This is a single-family house here. They retain their direct view. They don't get a view this way because there's trees, but they get a direct view here, which goes over here and goes over here. It'll be partially, that angle will partially impact their view, but not fully, I'm guessing.
And not to interrupt, because I want you to continue, and this is sort of the introductory, if you will, to what will need to be documented for you, right? And we have good examples over the past 5 years, especially, in particular, in the last 2 years, about what we will need to see regarding the view sheds, and how this is going to be either impact or not impact. And
there was questions in what we submitted that addressed it. So,
well, I think if you look at past examples of submitted documentation, you'll get a good idea of what we're going to do. But it's not going to be an explanation that's recorded on the video. You're going to have to submit some kind of sectional information and photographs. It's a fairly sensitive issue or item.
yeah. Well, okay, thanks. I'll just wrap it quick then. Same with this house, direct view is still there, slightly impacted as you go over here. This is a 3-family with 2 apartments on top that currently have views. They still retain a view here. They're impacted partially. Top one also retains partial view. So no one's 100% impacted. This house is way above everything, so it doesn't have any issues. And then what it also does, in terms of views, is it opens up that where there's nothing here. Now, because of that, that rule which tries to, I guess, give view sheds. This 30 feet here, now the river's down here, so we're getting rid of this whole row of shrubs and everything that's here that's blocking everything. And you'll have that, for the public. So it's accomplishing, its goal, which is to, have some view sheds. Whereas now there's nothing. So while we're taking some, we're minimally impacting some across the street. We're open right up here. That's good. Which I think is going to, being from the neighborhood, I just driving by my driveway where you do have a little shop, and it's gorgeous, even when you're just driving by. And I think for the neighborhood, it'll be definitely, change things around nice.
It's good, but I think you're going to have to submit something that proves that out.
Sure. So I guess that's, we say May 30th?
Well, the 30-day time limit, we're not long before that.
Okay, so we should come back to the next
Right.
planning
So
board
we
meeting?
use the time between now and then to address the questions related to the ordinance. So the goal here is to move as close as you can to the ordinance that you live in every day of your ordinance. So that is everything that the ordinance is. Have the narrative. It really needs to be reflected in the environmental plan. That has been part of that.
You guys will be actually doing the EAC.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so we should come to the next planning board meeting, and when you're on this agenda, you kind of show up.
Just keep, but you'll know if it's.
You'll want to revise your plans to address our comments.
Like at least 10 days, 10 days before, get the information from the staff, so they can review.
Okay.
10 days, whatever it is. Okay.
There's a public statement.
You get your stuff in for the meeting.
Oh, public
I'll get
statement,
it.
the meeting?
Yeah, to get your stuff in, if you're on the agenda, you have a little bit of extra leeway. to get your stuff in.
So May 23rd is May 8th. May 8th is the submission deadline for the 23rd.
Me, okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Okay. So, where's that little property now?
Yeah, you can come up.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Rob Aiello with JMC. We're here tonight on behalf of First Capital Properties for the infill building of the Arcade Shopping Center. We were before the board last month, and since then we've provided some updated drawings to the board and also a comment response letter relating to Keller Sessions' letter dated March 28th, addressing some of the engineering comments. We've also submitted the coastal assessment form to the board, as well as an additional copy of the short form EAF, which was originally submitted back in January. Just as a reminder, this shows Route 9 down at the bottom. Donald is off the page towards Paul, the project architect from Studio Design, Paul Tempers. And this is the auto parts store and the Bagel Deli Cafe store, and there's currently a driveway going between the two buildings in which we are proposing a new 5,000 square foot infill building. In addition to the items I mentioned before that were submitted, there were some comments from the public and subsequent discussions with the board regarding some litter in the back of the property. In response to that, Erstad Biddle, there's a copy of a letter provided to the board that Erstad Biddle hand-delivered to each of the tenants, indicating procedures and processes that need to be followed with regard to litter and waste management. Also provided, Mr. Tepfer at the last meeting, he mentioned that there would be some updates to the architectural drawings, and we provided copies of the drawings that he presented at the last meeting to the board for its record.
Yeah, this drawing you're showing here doesn't look much change. That's the version.
And I think they may have reviewed my 17 drawings.
There were 2 sheets that were submitted. Sorry? Yes.
You have it.
Okay, well, I've got the elevation here. Yeah. I mean, it was just minor changes, but basically the ramp changed a little in length because of the floor level that we discussed that at the last meeting. And then on the floor plan, yeah, that's it. And on the floor plan, we added this service corridor by moving the refrigerator back to the back.
Which motion have you made, you said,
In order, right now at the Bagel Cafe Deli, there's a big step off the sidewalk.
right, yes.
So what we're doing is creating a ramp
It's ADA accessible, so that people can go up that ramp, or they can go up steps to get there as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's about a 2-foot grade change between the two buildings. So that ramp will be incorporated into the sidewalk, which is also being connected in front of the two structures.
I have a notation from last month, and I believe it talks to the back of the building with the fencing. That discussion?
There was discussion regarding, are you referencing the fencing behind the buildings? There's a fence that comes down in this area, and then a fence that comes down in this area. And was the particular comment regarding if it could be closed?
Notation of what we were talking about. I made the notation to talk about the fencing again.
Well, fencing's in good condition, and
I think the comment from, I don't know if the neighbors here, was to see whether or not that could be closed. And
yeah, I mean, I could dig through my notes to find it, but I don't recall.
I think I
have it fencing.
there's an access issue for the trucks.
I think it began with the trash, the issue of the trash.
Yeah.
And then it
escalated into.
Well, and it kind of went into how could a fence, or how not, could it contribute
I
to?
think it went from the trash to, let's close the fence all the way, to we can't do that because we need it for trucks.
Right.
And it was, let's all agree to clean up the site.
Right, let's go back to the original cause and address it.
I think at the end of the day, the fence was going to stay the way it is. And
That's what it
the
was.
site
Okay, so that being said, we closed all the open issues. There's one issue. I don't know if it came to you, about there's a water main that runs through that, I believe, to where you are in front of the building.
correct.
So what are we doing with that?
Well, this water main comes through and it feeds this hydrant, which is the existing hydrant, which is located here. There's another water main that goes along this portion of the property. So we are connecting that, we're putting in a new water main in this location to connect and refeed that existing hydrant.
So we don't need a pipe under the building.
Correct. What will remain under the building, though there is a storm drain that also goes under the building. And we were previously showing a 30-inch pipe, I believe, but we've done some subsequent analysis. We've decided that we will use two 16-inch pipes, because what's happening here is this building will be constructed on piles. And we needed to coordinate with the structural engineer to make sure we can get those two pipes to the foundation.
So none of that is that's all runoff generated by your property?
That's correct.
No, so the only other question is, so do we have dead ends there on the water main?
Well, it's a dead end at the hydrant, and it's the similar condition that we have today, where that's also a dead end of, instead of the dead end being here, it's here, but that hydrant can be exercised and flushed. That's okay.
So that was my question. Who flushes there? They do?
We do. The utility that we have easement in Arcadian is potable water. We don't have easement over sanitary or storm. So how they handle the storm that they're gonna truck upon or the sanitary lines, we're indifferent. The potable is something that we need to talk about.
Okay.
Including how you're tying back in and moving in the system there.
Okay.
So do you have an easement all over that existing water main?
Well, I think I believe there's an easement over every potable main on the site.
So that easement will need to be modified.
Is it a blanket easement, or is it a?
No, I think it's a meets and bounds easement over the main itself. I don't think it's a...
Yeah, that can certainly be addressed.
And whatever you might need with the health department for that.
Right. So it's considered a public main.
That's my recollection, but we'll check after this.
If it's a matter of an easement, we can certainly relocate the easement. If it's also a public main, you're right, that would require a public main extension approval from the health department, which we could process.
So So any approval tonight will be contingent upon resolving to the satisfaction of the easements for potable water. Among others, the public board has to get. And okay. Any questions from the board? Questions from the public? So we can, this is on the side of the street. So we need to make that on the environmental assessment. So you issue that.
I'm sorry.
It's, we have to do make deck because it's on the west side of the building.
Right.
So is there a motion to approve plans submitted tonight, subject to the easement for potable water, with the village engineer's satisfaction and the health department and the other regulatory agencies? And also that we find a negative declaration for the environmental assessment.
So moved. Just with regard to that, just to keep the record complete, I did file a post assessment form and short EAF, and both of those indicate that there should be no adverse environmental. Good.
I'll move.
For both together or two separate?
Reggie.
For negative deck?
Neg deck. On, seconded. And for the resolution, it's the other way around. I think I wasn't paying attention. Because I'm sitting over here. See how it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so, move second, all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor of the second? For approving the second? Okay? Those passed unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey.
All right. Lasso.
Good evening. David Benedict, Blackwell Associates. We are still waiting for our architects to show up, engineer, Petroselli. And I don't know if it's delayed in the rain or not, but we'd ask if we could have maybe a 5-minute break while we try to contact them.
Sure.
I'll be right.
Oh, great. Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I think the road makes work for
If the applicant is anywhere, he should be in
So what is it? So what is the effect of that in that eye?
What's that?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Oh, boy. And is that just so they can monitor? Yeah, all that was going on. Right. Wow. Doors on the road too. Who's she traveling across country? I'm up from New York. Oh, okay. They can do that.
Yeah, only my job.
With the two and the second number is an even or odd number.
Yeah.
Well, and I saw comment before actually.
Yeah, just to clear her head, exactly.
Some that work for you. What do you do? Yeah. Everything Mary Sawyer, remember Mary Sawyer?
Yeah, right. But she's not an only child, is she? No. He's nearby? Oh, it's nearby. Not near enough.
So, two questions.
Just got married. Yeah, John, my older son will be 30 in June. He got married on New Year's Eve, up at West Point.
Oh, it is?
At the hotel there. And he's living up in Greenwich for dinner. He started a new job a few weeks ago. He's working, he's actually at the Hacktown, where both he and his brother went to high school, in the, not teaching, but in development and alumni, relations and that sort of thing. That was kind of the number two in their development office, was actually a year ahead of me in high school. And had the job for 30 years. And unfortunately for him, kind of new headmaster and president, and they decided they needed to shift things around. And it was kind of gotten into it. But he was kind of told at the beginning of the year, we're changing things. He will pick up to the wall and said, look, I'm going to shut down the door. You should wait for yourself. That's what happened. Nothing. Very certainly. When did we ask him? Except that on the face of it, it looked like a very long agenda, and it's not. But it's now, it's an hour.
Yes, sir.
They
give us 5 We don't do Yes. All right.
All right, everybody, we will get back from our break. Okay.
That was a fortuitous break because the other company say I'm not sure what happened. I hope Mr. Berkey is okay, but I can see for myself now that he is, and he's here, which is good because I really couldn't tell you too much about that. I thought I would, however, address a little bit with the board and with Lynn. We seem to have, and I got an email not too long ago from Mr. Stout, we can't seem to get to a reconciliation of the escrow. From what we were provided, and it's kind of difficult to work it out in this format, and I'm having my office put together in a spreadsheet that I can understand a little bit better, but it's divided into, rather than a one thing, it's divided into legal, planning, and engineering. Yeah.
So are we up $100,000?
About 20,000 and change, yes.
And why are we having this debate? Because we think it's going to cost more than that to do the work, right?
Well, I know, but we still wanted to.
But do we want to move this forward?
Sure,
Or
we
do we
do.
want to wait another month before we go sort this out?
No, we absolutely want to move this
So
forward.
why don't we solve at least part of that and figure out a month's worth of escrow so we can get that done? We can't go anyplace until we get that done.
And what would a month's worth of escrow be? Was it $5,000 that was mentioned last time for deposit?
I've no idea.
Because even by the village's reconciliation, there's, looks like there's, I don't know, 7,000 or so.
So if you put 5, we get to 12. Right?
We asked for 5,000, but whatever, if you don't make it up, go up.
Just move that. Let it clear, moving forward. I don't know.
As long as we can have a, as we can come to a
And you guys,
conclusion on this, because
you guys figure it out, I don't know where to arbitrate this thing. It seems like it's a very simple process. Maybe you need a couple of accountants to sit down, get some numbers.
I think so, because I know that Terry came in a couple times and met with me.
It should be sorted out.
Once, and spoke again.
It should be sorted out.
So let's get these out. Can we make a decision tonight that by May the 8th, we will have a final conclusion as to what the numbers are? That seems like the date that this plan really works.
That would be fine with me, because I'll have my accounting done by then.
Paul, can you help us get that closed by the 8th? Thank you. I'm glad everybody came tonight. Okay.
Mr. Berthet is now here to present and take questions on the items that we had last time, but you had not yet reviewed, but I'm sure you have now. And
So I have one question that goes beyond, it's sort of connected, not so much the building litigation, but when you presented the new access road, what do you call it, floodplain?
Yes.
How, and we have, and I know we haven't done this, but in the document, in the SEIS, there was no road in right? You're strictly operating as a county building. So that's going to have to be addressed, right? And so there may be a need to amend the SEIS to bring it up to what is reflected on the current plan. And I didn't think of that last month until I started to get this letter. Who raised the issue of the road. So you guys can have a copy of that.
Yes, could we please, because
Okay.
so we can
You
see
should
what
have
we
a
do
copy
best.
because you're the guy that's going to have to answer first, right?
Yes.
So I want to, let's cover that, okay? The second thing, sort of administratively, that I'd like to do, because obviously, since there are open switches now, we would like to extend the period for the final review of the EIS to June 30th, so that we don't run into the crunch time. So I think we resolved the help that we're going to need to review this tonight with the money, but we still need the updated SEIS so that we can actually look at it. And I don't want to run out of time. So I'd like to have the board, before we're done tonight, move that we will move the date to, I think June 30th is the last day of June for our review of the FEIS. That should give everybody enough time to get into it.
The FSD,
FEIS, yeah.
supplemental final.
Yeah, the one that we're supposed to be working together, okay? Did I get that?
But I hope
Okay
we will
with
work
what I
together.
said?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to take a motion on that, I don't know, it's up to you.
Well,
Whatever, sometime you gotta take a motion.
we gotta do that at some point. Let's hear what's going on. Okay.
I'm sorry, David, you mentioned material that you assumed we'd had.
Yeah, remember we talked about it last time, we had submitted this in advance of the last meeting, but Lynn had not given it to you because she had some discussions with Mr. Stout, and so I'm not sure why it wasn't given to you while he was preparing his memo, but this was,
But I haven't reviewed it.
this was given before the last meeting that we were here.
Okay. So go ahead.
So last month, we gave a presentation and kind of took you through what the updates were. We had, still on the site plan, had the scallop face. We modified that, it's in your package. Didn't change the footprint, didn't change the, any of the exterior features of the plan. We talked about the modification of the bedroom count going from 3 down to just 1s and 2s, and all of that was reflected in the final supplemental environmental impact statement. We talked about the road, we talked about building heights, how the drainage was working going through the existing drainage way, channeling it underneath the building, passing through the railroad tracks to the Hudson River. So I was hoping tonight to see if you guys had any questions on what the proposal is in terms of site plan review for, as it relates to the.
I think we're not spending any time on the flood road.
Okay.
It's not saying that.
Okay.
Well, given, and I apologize, I haven't had a chance.
Apology accepted.
But,
You just got it?
so,
I'm sorry.
if we just cover the items that did perk up, and I think we've covered most of them. We talked about the retaining wall at the southeasterly corner, if you will, I guess, yeah, in there. And I didn't know if there was sectional information in what we have here that describes that in a little more detail, because I think we were confused with previous information about how high that wall was and what the makeup may be, and if it has a batter to it, or if it's a vertical plane, and what the texture of it may be, or what the other opportunities may be. So, and I don't know that we're going to cover them now, but I'm just right. In terms of on-site recreation.
Okay. There is a proposed swimming pool That's going to be part of the program. It will be limited to use by the residents, not open to public. There is there's really, in terms of other features,
So could you maybe, to be a little.
There's connections to Crawbuck, yeah.
So the ordinance addresses two kinds of recreation. One is amenities for the people outside, and then there's the piece that I call the public good. Because that's how you build sort of a density, right? So how, what should the public expect to enjoy about this?
well, right now there is no public access down to here other than the road that accesses the facility. There is no other public amenities.
So the question is, should that meet the various?
I'll have to, I'll bring you the question.
And, can I step in? Hi, Nick Solanas with Plateau Associates. The public amenities that we're speaking to, again, the two density bonuses that we're pursuing are the LEED certification and affordable housing. There are public amenities associated with this plan, that is the development and creation, establishment of a fully legal roadway surface, including a sidewalk, which would provide pedestrian access, which does not exist today, from Water Street to the Crawbucky Park. Very, very important aspect. You know, we have spoken on many occasions about allowing the undisturbed part of our property, the acre and a half on the east side of our property, to allow its connections to the Crawbucky trails so that it would be expanded and would provide additional connections. So there are very, very significant public benefits that we are not seeking any additional benefits. We're not looking for a density bonus.
No, I get that, but there's a fundamental basis in the ordinance that requires some of that. And what I'm saying is, if it's not called out, it should be. I mean, I think you just said a lot of things.
Right.
That you should get credit for, right? And if you're not, then you know, because, okay, part of the reason I said is the density comes along with public benefit. The ordinance was specifically created, it's called waterfront district, was created with not only residential, people who live there and not the public.
And
So that's all. I mean, I don't want to be labor tonight, but just as we move forward, it's going to be one of the things we check off as we go through the FEIS.
We can certainly have that designated on the plans.
Sure.
You know, and
We
has been
will,
spoken
we'll
to on
discuss
many
that.
occasions.
We'll discuss that, and I think what he was saying, what I was about to say, is that that's going to be made not as part of an additional density bonus. There is some provision in the zoning for additional density, and this is just purely as part of the zoning in general.
There's a baseline that talks about public benefit.
Yes.
That's important.
And then there was, as he mentioned, the sidewalk and some benches on the sidewalk for the public.
We should also speak to the fact that this development allows the compliance of the village with its own secret proposals and approvals for the waterfront redevelopment plan. So up until now, nothing has happened, and it's been almost 10 years that that's been approved, and we're trying to address and be able to allow the village to comply with that aspect, providing it with a program, a project that they can take great pride in because of the quality, because of the amenities, the access, the exposure to Crawbucky Park, all of these positive aspects.
Right.
And we'll have that written down.
Right, I think there's
We'll document that.
Right, there's a story here,
Yes.
or there are pieces of a story potential that are missing. As Joe just indicated, you've filled in pieces of that story. The pieces, I don't know that the pieces of the story are articulated here. So far they haven't been articulated there. I think you're making incrementally stronger arguments or suppositions. I'm not sure we're there, right? I mean, this is some interesting dialogue we're having, but I think part of the struggle in the past may have been the fact that you have a vision and you have an articulated sense of where you're headed with this that hasn't been I'm not sure we see that yet.
And I believe the FEIS documentation does speak to it in various sections. It's a very lengthy document, and it's easy to lose track of. You know, we will make the emphasis and be sure that it is very visible.
I think it's really.
Perhaps it can be a section of its own.
I think it's interesting because, you know, we've been at this a long time. And I remember one of the very original ones where what is now sort of roadway was actually front rank. And there was a fair amount of activity. I think I remember gazebo in the middle of it, and there were other things. So it was pretty articulated on the plan in the early stages. And as we sort of drifted toward this type development, those things sort of went away. And I think we still have them. So I think what John is right, you're right, is let's write it down, let's show it, let's make it clearly visible so that we all know going forward. So we can check off the boxes as we go forward.
Sure, the plan has had some changes from the original submission back in 2004 and 2009 when
I'm old now.
Program changed. So certainly some of the details that may have been recollected, the gazebo, of course, you know, we were looking to do a number of other items, including the adaptive reuse, which was not sustainable. And therefore, we're moving in with this program, which we believe is fully addressing all of the requirements and expectations of the waterfront development plan.
I just one quick comment is, take a look at Harbor Square is a classic example of what we're talking about, where public assets, blah, 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 blah. So, I don't want to debate this tonight, but I'm just making that notation.
In all fairness, I think Harbor Square and this in some ways are apples and oranges because of where it's situated. Because it's already situated among the public and the waterfront, and you can access it easily.
People go out to that point where you're talking about.
Yep.
Are you saying that people don't go out there? They do. And again,
not as much as if you've been out to 3 Western, not as much as people down there.
The first analogy,
I think the answer is, let's see what they've got.
Yeah,
Okay?
But I'm just making a
No, I think, you know, because there are a number of examples around town now that have sort of some built upon others, some not built upon others.
and Harbor Square was public land, so we're looking to provide the same amenities on what is private property. So that is a huge difference. It's not starting
I
from.
probably wouldn't use that as an example.
Okay.
But they're beyond the apples and oranges. There are relevant, fundamental, good planning elements. Whether you like them or not at Harbor Square or not, they were vetted, alternatives were discussed, refinements were made, the project moved on. And I think we're struggling with the alternatives discussed, refinements made part of it.
That's certainly
So
something
if
we
you
can
can
and will
detail
address.
those, that would be wonderful, because you know, we have attempted to make this very compliant, very much in alignment with what the village, what has been approved. We've been to many of these planning board meetings.
Let's just try to make it clearer as we go through.
We'll articulate our plans and we'll come up with a couple of options that we can discuss.
If the board may, my name is Peter Flores, also with Plateau Associates. All of these details that we are talking about right now, the sidewalk, has been on this program since day one. The sidewalk is on the plan, it's there, it's been there.
I agree, but the notion of, and I'm sorry to interrupt, I don't mean to interrupt. It clearly, we understand those pieces, many of those pieces have been there, i.e. the sidewalk. What the sidewalk is actually doing, how it's located, what it's contributing to the pedestrian experience, all of those ideas are what have been missing in the communication. I get the sidewalk was there.
Those ideas, those situations that we've incorporated into this very detailed plan have been talked about at length. I'm sorry, but it appears that this board does not remember a lot of the presentations that we had presented. We had presented.
You know, there may be,
we're re-presenting. I have no issue with that.
I think that's where we are in this, because, I mean, we could debate at length about whether a sidewalk is beneficial to the people who are living in this residence, but they have to get to the street too, et cetera. So I don't wanna go down that goat road, okay? We get way too many goat roads. We're trying to keep this thing moving forward.
And I think the applicant has other good ideas that we can vet for public
So
benefits that we can present
You know where
them.
we need to go, David, you know where we need to
We
go.
do.
Let's get us there. Okay. All right. Anything else for tonight?
No, just that, you know, I will be happy to say May 9th, so we come to a resolution as to final accounting, we'll work on that.
Let's get through the SEIS
Yep.
process and then we'll start.
And,
the site plan and the VA. And then I think the other,
Yeah.
one thing that we're gonna have to close on at some point is the access. Okay, so last meeting you articulated that you had closed on access to the site, not just off the roof, right? But where we need variance is the site because it's frontage on a main road, variance is required.
Well, actually, that was also in the SEIS. That was addressed on why we felt that variances weren't required here, but I guess you haven't had a chance to review that
I
yet.
don't think, from what I can tell, we're not close.
So, if I can weigh in on just this access issue, because I have been involved in that from the very beginning. I do think we need to, I think that there are two pieces of the access. One is the physical aspects of it. Does it work physically for public
They
safety?
mean fire access, safety code.
Right, so, and the other is the legal side of it. Are there solid easements in place? And a subset of that is whether the zoning board approval is needed. So up until this last draft of the FEIS, the applicant had conceded that the zoning board approval is needed. In this draft, they've indicated that their current position, they're retracting that and released their current position that a zoning board approval is not needed because a prior subdivision for the fields, something,
Where's the kind of research in?
name it again, the
Filer's
property somehow resolved that. So that's a sentence, that's one of the things that we need to.
Yes,
There needs to be a meeting at the staff level, I think, with the consultants, with the applicant's consultants, as a starting point, so that we can give you the information you need about those two, the road, both the physical side and the legal side. And that is also providing, we did it, we had an internal meeting about it to say we think we need to have that meeting and what questions we need to ask, but it's got to start with the escrow getting funded, Joe taking a look at the physical aspects of the road, me taking a look at the legal, and then we can get together with the applicant.
So I'm trying to get as many parallel tracks running as I can.
So are we, and if I can just.
May I clarify?
We'll try to stay on those tracks.
Just clarifying that we're talking about access. Access from Water Street as well as access around the building, or are we?
Well, the access around the building is going to be our resident safety people who need to come up with an explanation. So, yeah, that's one, but more important to the development.
To the development,
Because
okay.
we can always decide what goes on in the
Yeah.
site, but we can't get to the site, it doesn't matter where it is.
I think, and to add to that, I mean, from my personal board member review, I feel like you've solved the technical aspect around the building. Now it's a matter of what is it gonna look like?
Sure.
Right, what are the materials?
Okay.
Yes, and as we did have that rendering last time, just to give you an idea of the materials and the basic look, there needs to be some changes. As you mentioned, what you saw last time, the scallop is not going to be scalloped. My personal opinion is, as a rendering, this is very attractive as compared to even Harbor Square that I was at.
Well, what is it gonna look like was a more global?
No, I understand from
Not just the building, but
different vantage points,
Right.
yes. I understand that. And if I can just close, please, for my client's sake, to say that there's never been a reluctance on their part to post money. Anytime they were asked, they posted it. But with a discrepancy of about $20,000, that would be 4 months worth of work.
We
So
don't do that here.
I understand. So but we've been trying to, and we will get to a resolution of
We
that.
don't do that. So why are we talking?
Well, because it's something that we wouldn't even need to be talking about if, in fact, our accounting was taken as correct, then we'd have.
So we're gonna solve this on the 8th.
Yes, we're gonna start the 8th or the 9th, you said. The other issue was that once we get to the 30th, we're looking to now move this ahead as expeditiously as possible. Everyone, I think, sitting here agrees this has been going on an awfully long time, and I'm not sure why, even though what you have in front of you, the discs were submitted 2 weeks before the last month's meeting, why they were only given out tonight, so that maybe you didn't have some more substantive questions that we could have, put to bed for you. I just want to know that we're going to, move expeditiously, and what we can expect after that June 30th cutoff point.
Keep running as fast as you can, because we don't take the summer off like some boards do.
That's good to hear.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Dan?
Any other site plan issues that?
Yeah, like, well, just to that point, just understand that we're not going to do any reviews until the assessment review.
I understand it. Well, it'll be resolved within a couple, within the
Well,
night.
we have $7,000.
Give or take.
Two.
2,000.
There's two guys.
Okay.
Two current dogs, so that's why it was asked
So we're
to
not
be
gonna-
increased to 5,000, so we can at least bring it back up to the
Okay,
7,500.
so good. So if you get a check, let's do it.
Mr. Chair, can I just get a clarification on this May 8th date? My understanding, May 9th date, my understanding is that even, May 9th was to resolve the larger issue about the $20,000
Yeah.
connection. But prior to that, if you want the review to get going with, particularly with Joe's office, there'll be a $5,000 deposit. That the 5,000 isn't going to abide the 9th, because now you're a couple of weeks in again, and then there's not going to be enough time.
I understood that's what Mr.
My
Miller said.
understanding is that somebody's going to deposit a check, and we're going to resolve the accounting.
Once and for all on the 9th.
But as soon as the money is cleared, you guys got to be busy.
The question's been made before, but if there's a discrepancy, can you provide a canceled check? Because without a canceled check, it's hard for finance to actually
I have
pull
all
the
the-
exact records. But what
I
you're
don't think we're
holding
off
right-
on, I don't think we're off on the
What
checks.
you're holding right there is
Okay.
finance's budget.
Yes.
And if I may on that point, because I think this is a very, very serious issue from our standpoint as far as the protection of the funds that we've advanced to the village to support our program. There seems to be at this point no discussion or disagreement, if I would, on the amount of money that Plateau Associates has advanced to the village of Ossining.
I think we're on with that.
There were 2 checks that were lost mysteriously that were not missing 4 years ago. They've been found, so the total submission of dollars by Plateau is not in disagreement. The area that we have concerns are that the invoices that the village's own records add up to are $28,000 less
And
than
we can't
the
discuss
funds.
that.
Okay.
Why, this is not the accounting.
Well, it's not the
It's a
accounting
planning.
department, but with all due respect, we're being told that this program cannot advance until this matter's been resolved.
But we're
The
talking
issue
about
here
working
is
it
that
out
we
with
have,
staff. But I think we're going to work it out by then.
we will, absolutely. I will be
One way or
sitting
the
down
other,
with you
we'll
next
have
week,
that.
and we will have
Okay.
this resolved.
So before I forget, we need a motion to extend the period of review to June 30th. Is there a motion? I'll move for that. Second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we're talking. Okay. Anything, you look like you want to say?
No, I just wanted to get as many things as, from you, to work on for the next meeting, so that.
So this is a good, so I was just gonna ask, in anticipation of the next
Right.
meeting, what will we, give us a preview of what we're gonna see and what we may, what you have, what we're gonna see, and where you think you're going.
Well, you have a lot of things that are on that disc that you'll see when you get a chance to open it up. And it'll be the revised SEIS along with a glossary of the changes that have been made. I understand that I want to take a good review of it, also to make sure that we have a focused analysis of public benefit. So I'll be working on that with my
The
clients.
building blocks towards
Yes.
density.
Yes. Well, I don't think, as they said, I don't think that they're even asking for
Just that.
additional
There are
density, but
some bonuses, but that's not the thing. I think what you really want is a checklist. It says, here's what the ordinance calls us out to do, and these are the things that we did. And then here's our bonus point. We answered these, here's the bonus question, we answered that. So we all understand, and then where are we, if you don't believe there are variances required, there's sort of the rubrics to go along with this that will allow us to complete the FEIS. Right? I mean, that's the first thing we gotta get done. The rest of the stuff doesn't matter until we have the groundwork ready. So I think that's where we're gonna go. So in terms of how the building sits, we don't want to worry about that. You know, and we probably will need, if we can, some feedback on those interior layouts from the various staff, particularly the fire.
We'll be having to meet with them again. We think that they had approved the 360-degree access.
I want to see that.
Yeah, of course.
Understood. I don't know that we have that, now you have an added flood access road too, that you can look at.
It's on the plan. It's full. We'll see.
Okay, good.
Your office to make sure.
Been on the plan since 13, so we good?
Yes, in fact, we discussed, that is one thing we did discuss last time, we showed the flood access road and discussed how it is on.
And you'll get a copy.
Do you have the copy of the letter now, or you want to just email it to me? The letter from Mr. Wonderell.
We did it, but I can get your copy again.
Just email it to me.
We did email, but we can email.
Okay.
If you give it to me, I'll email it around to everybody else.
I only did it.
Okay. That's before, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Anything else from a site plan perspective that we can think of that we can prepare and have ready for you for next planning meeting? When you're talking about materials for walls and those kind of things, love to be talking about those
Right,
details.
and we would too,
Yeah.
and I mean, you gave us a quick preview of some colored elevations
Sure.
that you were going to, and annotating those somewhere at some point with proposed materials and condemnation of heights, and, you know, a reference to what the existing grade is and what the proposed grade is and what that yields in terms of, you know, all those things
Right.
that you need to put on the drawings.
Right, but we're also trying not to get ahead of ourselves in terms of those details with site plan approval for the.
I'm going to worry about those things that are going to map to where we need to get to.
Right. I still think there's some
Don't worry
fundamental pieces that are dovetailed, right? That they're inseparable between site plan approval and what the essence of the proposal really is. And it's not unusual, right? I don't know how many applications have been through here. All right.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right.
Thank you.
The board, is there a motion to approve plans, the minutes of the
But,
last meeting?
wait a minute, I like the first one you were gonna make.
Reggie moves. Nobody yet. Yes. Motion to adjourn. Thank you.
You'll be happy to know I got my village email open. So I
Get out. I still haven't heard from that.
John has agreed to serve as our